comes next, Bitcoin being at the center of global finance and global commerce. What's really happening is, the petrodollar system is ending because nobody trusts the dollar and the underpinnings of those monetary units anymore. And because of that, at the end of the day, it's Bitcoin is the new unit of account. You just had Jack Mallers go on TV and they announced this 21 conglomerate. There's a perfect example of somebody who gets it, somebody who knows what the new unit of account is and what everything on the planet should be measured against, which is how much Bitcoin is there per share.
Do you see like an Apple or Facebook or an Amazon or more sort of traditional S&P 500 adoption?
I think what you're going to see is when we look at what our number one export has been, which is the dollar in the United States, that's just paper. Do your craft, make your money, store it in Bitcoin, and enjoy your life because you don't have to overthink this thing. They're going to print. They have to print. They can print anything they want.
Correct.
And therefore, they can come up with the 250,000. But if you put Bitcoin on deposit and they don't have the Bitcoin, they can't print it. So they can never actually fulfill a promise that's based in Bitcoin unless you could fully audit what's actually on deposit at the FDIC.
And we can augment this any way we want, where we say, okay, if whatever percentage you put half the Bitcoin, well, not even a whole Bitcoin at the bank, and the government even has to have a whole Bitcoin at proof of reserve. We could look at ways the government could insure Bitcoin where we're insuring the third party. And the only thing I'm trying to circumvent here is where Bitcoiners would be encouraged or feel safer depositing their Bitcoin at a bank, at a custody, and loan against it. And I think Bitcoiners are looking for a way to borrow against their Bitcoin at rates as fair as HELOCs and mortgages and all the other programs out there. And I was just riffing on that. I haven't worked out all the semantics, but
the only way you can do this where you actually back it is people can dig into this company called AnchorWatch. Okay. They're using a multi-key setup that they can prove that the other, side of the Bitcoin and escrow is actually there because the one party can sign and the other party can sign. This is the only way you can do this. But at the end of the day, you actually have to have the full amount of Bitcoin there to insure it, period. There's no other way. And so you have a system, a fiat-based fractional reserve system that has used terminology and semantics to make people feel like they're getting a deal. But at the root of all of it is the money that they're putting on deposit actually is not there. And if it fails, they're just going to come up with, they're going to clack on some keys and they're going to produce some more paper nothings and they're going to shove them down your throat at the expense of everybody having more monetary units in the system, whether they understand that or not. And so Bitcoin's very different. Bitcoin has to be treated very differently. And if it's not, well, you're going to learn the hard way. And that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just going to learn the hard way.
Yeah, you make great points. What do you think about all the Bitcoin-backed Treasury companies? We were just talking about the new Mallers initiative. So, we haven't heard anything really definitive with GameStop. But MicroStrategy and now Strategy has really been kind of laying out the blueprint. Where do you see this going? Do you see sort of bigger adoption maybe coming from the inside? Kenneth Fitzgerald is an inside player in SoftBank, but do you see like an Apple or a Facebook or an Amazon or more sort of traditional S&P 500 adoption?
I think you're going to see more traditional adoption, but I think it's going to be very different than what we've seen to date with MicroStrategy and some of these other ones that are just doing super bold. We're converting our entire marketable securities on our balance sheet to Bitcoin. Like, I don't think you're going to see that. I think what you're going to see is, an Apple or a Google or whoever just take 5% of whatever they have as marketable securities, and they're going to turn that into Bitcoin. Similar to a perfect example is Tesla. Tesla put a little bit of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. They didn't go overboard. Percentage-wise, it was more like an insurance policy against the size of their marketable securities as a protection of printing and debasement of hyperinflation. Really was like the position size is how I would kind of categorize it. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that as opposed to these super bold, over the top I don't see it as over top. I see it actually as totally responsible. And that's why I own, stock in MicroStrategy. But I think that's how you're probably going to see it more likely roll out, especially for the big ones that have a lot of their equity distributed and the governance on it is spread out and they can't do anything bold or they're going to be fired. And so all of those factors are the reason why you're going to see it roll out that way.
Yeah, for sure. Any maybe bold predictions for 2025?
I don't think I have much, man. I'm just...
Do you think it's going to be a calm year or a wild ride?
Well, so far it's been very wild. I know I'm just reporting the weather with that statement, but it's hard for me to tell just because there's been so much change in the way that the current administration is doing things. So I just don't really know how the tariff thing's going to shake out, especially if they can't get China to the table and do something here in the coming months. And then it's time for the next, where everybody's tariffs are back on the table. How does that shake out? It seems like Jerome Powell is really dragging his feet as to his appetite to start lowering rates. So that's a factor that, it seemed like under the last administration, he seemed a little bit more accommodative, but maybe that's my own bias kind of coming out. So it's a little hard to kind of project, but I can tell you this, if things get really spicy, meaning there's some really swift sell-offs in the market because some of this contagion sets in, the printing press will come on and it's going to come on really, really strong. But I don't know if we're going to see that because so much of it comes down to their ability to preemptive, put liquidity into the system. And it seems like from what I'm seeing from an M2 standpoint, it seems like they're putting, a decent amount of liquidity globally speaking, not US, but globally, it seems like there's a lot of liquidity coming into the market. So it's, some of that stuff offsets it and it's really hard to kind of make a projection. But I do know this, I'm not selling any Bitcoin. I'm just buying more. And it's the beauty in all of this is you don't have to be too you don't have to think about it too much. You can just kind of do your craft, make your money, store it in Bitcoin, and enjoy your life because you don't have to overthink this thing. They're going to print. They have to print.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest Byte Federal ATM and turn your cash to coin. Byte Federal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, bytefederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.